Let's see if this is recording. Okay, I'm not sure if this is recording or not, so bear with me here. Let's see. Can't tell. Oh, I think I am recording. All right then. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was recording. I haven't looked at this yet, so this is going to be a really rough run through, but I thought maybe this would be helpful. And this PowerPoint is just words. However, when I sent it to Sarah, she said she would put it in the Scentsy template. She's also going to, on anywhere there's a bullet point, only one is going to come up at a time, and then we'll have to click the clicker to move on to the next bullet point. So you're going to want to, once I get the final version of this, we're going to want to be sure and get a printed copy, because we don't want to print this one in case she makes any changes, because I told her if she needed to tweak it, change it around any which way she might want to. I doubt she'll do much of that, but she might see a better fit or flow to this. So just wanted to give you that information. So my plan is, once she turns it over to me, I'm just going to, I always do something like this. I always just ask, okay, let's see, who do we have in the room? How many of you here are essential consultants? Raise your hand. How many of you are certified? So I just trying to get a feel for who I have in the room. Then the next thing that I typically ask is, how many of you are something, like I'll come up with something because I'm just kind of wanting to get them engaged. I will ask how many of you already have bookings on your calendar for August. Okay, that's awesome. Let's talk about host coaching. Again, we're going to go through some things here, share some training with you. Just because we are going to share this information doesn't mean you have to do it just like this. We're just sharing some things that have helped us have more successful parties. So we're wanting to pass on this information that you can use to train your downline and or tweak to make it your own. And again, some of you may already have some really neat things that you can incorporate in this and just kind of fine tune things. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Something that I do, and I'm pretty antiquated, I'm not a techie person. Some of you guys in this room that may know me, you already know that. So I still do things very old school. And therefore, I have on all of my hosts, I always have a file folder in which I have a piece of paper, and I'm going to write their name at the top of it. And then from there is where I'm going to record all of my checklist of touching points that I have with my host, when I do them and what exactly I do. And this is something that I will keep, because a lot of my hosts, fortunately, if you really do a good job with your hosts, you're going to find you can get them to have a minimum of 2 parties a year with you. I, a minimum, have them do a spring party and then, of course, a fall party whenever we have the new products coming out. I do have some hosts that really love their Scentsy and they know their Scentsy, so sometimes I can even get them to do an additional party during the Bring Back My Bar months, or if we have some other promotions that are of high interest to them, or some things that they find very incentive when we've had some diffuser promotions and stuff. So I will use the same host folder on this host ongoing. So just keep that in mind. But again, you're going to come up with your own system. I'm just trying to give you some ideas on how I do mine. So once I have my folder, the first thing that I'm going to do as my first touch point is the minute I secure that party, whether it's at the home party, whether it's at an event, maybe I was at the grocery store, it doesn't matter. Wherever I've secured my home party, that's when I'm going to send them a thank you note. The thank you note's very simple. It's just, hey, Susie, I'm looking forward to hosting your Scentsy party on this date and this time. And I love the idea that Shannon shared with me. She actually takes a scent circle with a Sharpie and she writes it on there so that they have that to keep with them everywhere they go as a constant reminder. So I thought that was really a cool idea as well. So you could give that in person or you can send it. I do always mail my thank you card because, again, it's just another opportunity for me to touch base with my host. The next thing I'll do, depending on the timing of the booking, I personally try to book 4 to 6 weeks out. I don't like to book farther than that because I've just found that I don't have as successful of parties. If it goes much past 6 weeks, it's a lot harder for me to keep that interest and keep them engaged. However, it can be done, and I'm certainly not going to tell anyone no. 4 to 6 weeks is ideal, but of course, I'm always open to spontaneous parties, and sometimes those are the best parties. So what I'm basically saying is it doesn't matter when you've got your party booked. I like to send out the host packet according to when I have it. So if they're going to have a party in the next 10 days and I've seen them in person, I probably gave them the host packet at that time. However, it's possible that I was doing follow-up, and during the follow-up conversation, because they just, purchased some bars and I was doing a follow-up and they decided to book, that I might need to mail them a host packet. And again, it depends on the timing. If they're booking 6 weeks out, I don't want to mail it tomorrow. I'm going to wait till about 30 days out to send them that host packet because I don't want them to have it too soon. It just sit on the desk and again, them lose interest. So that's just basically what I do. I send out my host packets. In my host packets, and there's no right or wrong way to do it, I typically will send 3 catalogs, 10 order forms because I'm really going to encourage the outside orders. I will also send some business cards with some scent samples depending on the time of year. That's going to determine whether or not I send scent samples, or sometimes I'll do scratch and sniffs, so it just kind of depends. And then, of course, whatever kind of booking incentive I'm doing at the time, if I have a tic-tac-toe, or it depends on what I have, different ones that I do, I will include that as well in my host packet. All right, so from there, one of the most important things we can do is we can encourage our hosts to invite, and this is a biggie. I've seen this done both ways, and I've had success both ways. It really depends on your host. However, I will commonly, over the phone with them, help them develop their guest list by just basically asking them, okay, who do you work with? Who did you used to work with? Who are your neighbors now? Who were your neighbors? Who is your family members? How about your husband's family members? Who do you know from your kids? And I just kind of help them brainstorm their list. This is something that I found to really be successful. And what happens sometimes is it helps me with conversations. For example, they might say something like, okay, well, all these people from work, I want them to order from me, but I really don't want to invite them to my house. So I'm going to explain to them how they can take a pouch party and or a bag party, depending on your comfort level and what the situation is, a few days before their home party, and they can take that with them to collect those orders without actually invite them, but that way they can still include that to increase their host rewards. So I will actually offer to mail out their invitation lists. I really love it when my hosts let me do this, and I explain to them that for their future hosting, it really will make it easier for them too. Because I keep a copy of this list. I only use it for her parties, of course. At the same time, let's say she has her party with me in the fall, I can just say, okay, I have your list from last time. Let's kind of go through that. Let me go through the names with you. Do you know, has anybody moved? Do we have anybody we need to add? That sort of thing. And it really makes things so much easier. Plus, I can time when they get mailed and when they get mailed and if they get mailed. Because let's face it, we're all hustle bustle. We all get really busy. And I can't tell you, there have been times when my host is like, I didn't get the invitations mailed out late. Or some of them would say, I really don't want to mail invitations. And I personally think people still like to get the mail. So I like to really encourage mailing out the invitations. So keep that in mind. You can also enter their invitation list into your contact tab of your workstation. That way you'll have their information already submitted whenever you need to get their emails to send them your e-news, as well as any promotions that you've got ongoing later. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, well, we all know that most of the reasons why people host is to get free stuff. So we really want to encourage them to work on their wish list. So another touch point that I will have with them is I am going to call them. And again, I can't give you exact timing because a lot of this will depend on if their party is happening in less than 2 weeks or closer to 6 weeks is how I'm going to kind of gauge this. But one of my touch points is I'm simply going to give them a call and say, okay, hey girl, we want to get you anything and everything you've ever wanted out of this Scentsy catalog. So what I need you to do is I need you to make a list of everything you could possibly ever want, and that we're going to work towards getting you for free and half price. And this is really, really important for a couple of reasons. Number one, we can use this information while we're at the home party to let her guests know the things that she's wanting, the things that she really likes in case they're needing ideas on what they should buy or what they should like. Also, this is something that's going to make it a lot easier when you go to close out your party There's nothing worse. Well, okay, maybe a few things. However, it's much simpler when you actually have all of this information and you go to close out your host party and she's already got her list. Because I have had on more than one occasion when I have tried to go through this with my host and we've tried to have it done in advance, but she wanted to talk to her husband or she wanted input from her kids or whatever the reasons, and I go to close it out and she's still hemming and hawing on the things she wants for a free and half price. So this is going to help you, like I said, for a couple of different reasons. Another touch point that I feel is very, very important is 3 to 4 days prior to the show, contacting her and asking her how many people are coming. I want to be sure at that point if she says, well, I think I have 6, I think I have 12, I want to know so that I'm prepared. I like to do lap boards, and basically it can also be file folders. You can do it however you want, but it already has the catalog. It has the promotion for the month, like the warmer of the month type of promotion, any other promotions we might have, and the order form and join information that I can pass out. So I want to be sure that I take the right number. I don't want to come with 50 if I only need 7, and I certainly don't want to only bring 12 if she has 18 people coming. If it doesn't sound like she's had a lot of success, then I want to go over, okay, let's see, when did you mail your invitations? When was the last time you contacted them? I want to help give her ideas on how to get guests or get people to come, as well as talk to her and see what, if anything, she has done to collect her outside orders. So this just gives me those opportunities as well. I want to let her know what time that I'm going to be there, and I ask her to send out a reminder. It really depends on which you want to do. I've done it both ways. I've said, hey, 24 to 48 hours, I want you to call or text every person that you've invited and let them know that if they show up on time, we're having an on-time drawing, and the party starts at 6:30. That's the one I personally like because my time is money, and I want people to show up and respect my time, and I want to respect those people who got there on time. So I like to do an on-time drawing. You could also let her know, if you'll text your guests or call your guests and remind them to attend, and if they wear purple or whatever color the host wants to pick, their name will go in for a special drawing, just for those who remembered to wear whatever. Now, by making this contact, again, this is going to give her a reason to contact them without being nagging. It also will let them say back, yes, I'm going to be there. I'm glad you told me. I might be a little late. Can I bring a friend? Or, you know what, something's come up and I can't come. At that point, I have trained my host to say, oh, I totally understand. How about I come by and I share my pouch party that she loaned me? Or let me give you my the website so you can go on and see what you might need. Or can I add a 6-pack of the new scents to your order? Just so that she has some good conversation to say back without just accepting, okay. The other thing I like to do is I like to contact her the day of show. And so I might send her just a quick text that day and just say, hey, girl, I'm super excited. I cannot wait to come to your party and meet all your friends and family. I'm going to see you around 6 o'clock. If you think of any questions, don't hesitate to call me. So that's my next plan. And then, of course, at the show, I always make sure I arrive at least 30 minutes before the party's going to start. So I have everything set up. And I want to meet and greet all of the guests. I think that's really important. I can tell you I have been to other direct sales parties, and it's not uncommon for the guests to be arriving and for the consultant to be sitting in a folding chair next to the table, just sitting there with their hands crossed, and while she might smile at everybody that comes in, there's like no engagement. And I do think that they're losing a lot of opportunities because conversations and building relationships is not only going to help you that evening, but that's going to help you keep them as your customers going forward, potential hosts and or new team members. So as people come in, if my host is busy, I answer the door. She may want to answer the door. It doesn't matter. So as they're coming in, I just kind of, oh, hi, I'm Tracy. I'm going to be the Scentsy lady tonight. And how do you know Susie? Oh, that's really great. Do you happen to have children? Do you work outside the home? I mean, just small talk. Or if people are having conversations, I act interested so that I have an opportunity to be involved in that conversation as well. And that has really helped me. Like I said, before we even get started, I already have a lot of information that's going to help me as I go through the party as far as sprinkling in the business opportunity or throughout the evening, at the end of the evening, bringing up things like fundraisers, the business opportunity, or hosting. So those are just some little seeds that I can have planted in my mind so that I can work later that evening and in the future with those guests. At the show closing, of course, you want to assist them with their host rewards and always, always, always offer the business opportunity. If you're not familiar with the term flip your host or flipping your host, that is something you definitely want to be looking up in the training center, because that is an absolute must. Whether the party is a $200 party or a $1,200 party, it is always in your best interest to share the business opportunity and give that host the opportunity to join your business. When the party is over, I will wait 1 or 2 days, and yes, I send another thank you. I don't want this host to take for granted or think that I have taken for granted that she has chosen me. I want her to know that I appreciate her business, that it means a lot to me, so I do go above and beyond, out of my way, to make sure that they know how much I appreciate them. So I will send another just sweet little and short little note just saying, I had a great time at your party last night. I'm so excited for your product to come in, and I look forward to getting it all packaged up and delivered to you. And I put it in the mail. Okay, then of course, a week or so after the show, I make sure, well, actually not after the show, but after I've delivered everything, I'm going to touch base with both my host and with each of the party guests. So I'm not going to go into follow-up because that's a whole nother training session, and there's lots of those opportunities here. In fact, I know there's breakouts on follow-up, as well as if you guys visit the expo, there's additional information both on sponsoring, so if you've got questions around that or how to have those conversations at your parties, and follow-up. So that's where you're going to want to have those conversations. But at this point, I just want to touch on is I will just make a quick call to my host and say, okay, girl, did you have an opportunity to go through all the orders and get everything delivered? At that point, she says yes, she says no, grandma got sick, has been in the hospital, whatever the reason might be, I have the information so I can go forward. I also contact each one of the customers, and this is just a really quick call to say, hey, this is Tracy, your Scentsy lady from Susie's Party. I just wanted to make sure that you got your order, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. At this point, I can tell you, sadly, there have been a couple of instances when I have had customers call me and say, I'm really glad you called because it's been like 2 weeks, and I was wondering when I was ever going to get my party. I personally had delivered it to the host the minute I got it, like within 24 hours of receiving it. However, she had not delivered to a handful of the customers. Had I not made that phone call, it would have looked like I, the consultant, had not been doing my job. So it's really important so that you can get to the bottom of it and make sure that your customers and or party guests get their orders on time. Okay, we want to be sure we keep them in show mode. I kind of touched on this earlier. Staying in touch with them is absolutely critical. And this is why I prefer to book 4 to 6 weeks out. Again, I'll take them whenever I can get them, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep them in show mode. But that is what I have found. If I can keep them within the 6 weeks, I have had the most success. They booked with you for one of 3 reasons. Because they liked you, because they like free product. I mean, let's face it, we all like free. Or they did it to help a friend by booking off of their party. Your host is your best advocate. You want to keep them happy. That's why you want to stay close to them. You want to keep them engaged. Again, on more than one occasions, I have done a bag party or a home party for someone that I've met through an event or someone's referred to me. And at the end of it, they're like, oh my gosh, this was so great having a party with you. I tried to do one of these one other time with some other Scentsy lady, and I wasn't even sure they were going to come. I didn't know if I was going to get my stuff. You know, they were having all kinds of anxiety and frustration, but now they were great with me. So I think that that's really, really important that you stay in touch. Remember, you're their biggest cheerleader. You want them to be happy. Many bookings are going to happen after the customers get their product if you do a good job with follow-up. I can tell you this has always been the case for me. So be sure you're doing the follow-up. Let your host know that they can still get free items from you for additional bookings, even though they didn't happen at your party. So I want my hosts to know that while I'm their biggest cheerleader, I would love the return favor. If they call me a month from now or someone else calls me and say, hey, my friend Susie said you did a party for her, I want Susie to know I'm still going to give her something. Typically what I like to do is I like to send them some products that I know they haven't tried or they haven't purchased from me. So it might be dryer discs, it might be counter clean. I'm trying to use some of the other categories as thank you gifts to help incent them and or get them to like the new products and want to use some of our other products. Instead of giving a gift for for hosting a show, give a gift to your host for her accomplishments. I know when I was a newer consultant, it was very common, and I was actually trained to do it this way, that we needed additional items to get people to book, even though our host rewards are phenomenal. If you've been in other direct sales companies, you already know this. We are very blessed for what Scentsy gives us. But sometimes we have this mentality that we have to give. And I'm all about giving, but at the same time, this is a business for me. I support my family with this business, so I need to make money first. So what I now do is I reward them for the things that they accomplish. And it varies. I change it up quite a bit, especially depending on the host and when I know their circumstances or their situation. Just an example, collect 3 outside orders and get someone to book, and I might give them a free bar of their choice. Or maybe I give them a free tub of washer whiff. Sometimes it's just stuff I have on hand. So I do different incentives, and then that way they can earn additional things. Another one that I've done is if you'll return all of your order forms with the top portion completed, you're going to get a free room spray or whatever you want to give away, because that's the information I really need. There's nothing more frustrating than getting a bag party to come back with 13 orders and only 4 of them completed the top part except a name. You know, that's not going to help me with my future follow-up to be a good consultant to them. So that's really important that I emphasize that. And then also offering to email or mail out catalogs to their out-of-town family and friends. I think that really helps a lot too, because again, just because a friend lives in Idaho and Texas or whatever down the street and can't come, it's not a big deal for us to drop a showcase brochure or email the catalog. So keep that in mind too. Okay, here is just a couple pictures of some home party displays. I think it's really, really important, especially as newer consultants, not to get hung up on the stuff. We're not here to specifically train on home parties. Again, there's going to be oodles and opportunities here while you're here this week to learn all about home parties. But we did just want to touch on the fact that keeping it simple is really important. Whatever came in your kit is all you need to get started. And then over time, you can build on your kit. But you never want to bring the house whenever you're setting up for a home party, because that's actually going to complicate things and going to deter people at the idea of becoming a consultant if they feel they have the need to have all of this stuff. Okay, just a couple of tips that we discussed, Shannon and I. She's presenting in the next 2 sessions after myself, and we've just kind of worked together so we could hopefully give you guys the most information in the shortest amount of time so that you can be more successful with your home parties and your host coaching. A couple of things, one of which is the Facebook friend request. Now, this is going to depend on your Facebook profile. I'm personally pretty boring. Therefore, it's not a problem for me to have whoever be my friend. I also happen to have a business page, so you can certainly do something with your business page as well. And while you're at your home party, you could simply say, okay, for those of you that send me a friend request during the course of this party or like my business page, your name is going to go into drawing for a free gift. Or you can give them a scent sample of the new scent of the month or whatever you want to do. Another one is, of course, the texting game, which is where you say, okay, guys, we're going to play a game. It's really easy. Everybody can win. I'm going to have you guys program my name and my number in your phone, and the first person that sends me a text is going to win a prize. And so by that time, you're going to tell them, have them program your name, your phone number. They send you a text. Now you've got all of their contact information, and you can go through and save their names as customers, which will make it easier for you to follow up with them. Another really nice checklist that you guys should all download and then use as well and share with your downline as you're training them is if you go to the workstation and you search host coaching checklist, there's a really nice checklist that you guys can use as well, that you can use in conjunction with the things that we've discussed, which would be a really nice just little tool to help you. We can never have too many tools in our toolbox. Okay, we wanted to share some ideas on bookings. This is the key to our business. I have done fundraisers, I've done home parties, bag parties, I do events, you name it. I have fortunately tried it all, and I still believe that home parties is the absolute best way to build this business. And in order to continue and stay in business, we are going to need bookings. So we wanted to share a few different things with you that you can use as far as getting bookings. One of which is the booking necklace. You'll see a picture here. It's very simple. You simply hang 3 scent circles on a necklace, and you tell your guest, your host, that over the course of the evening, it's her job to get rid of all 3 scent circles. When she does get rid of each scent circle, you're going to write the time, the date, of course, and the party information on the scent circle, and give that to the person who has agreed to have the party. If your host successfully gets rid of all 3 necklaces, they're going to earn an additional prize. We also have the dice game. The dice game, this is very simple. I purchased this at the store called Five Below, but I'm sure they sell similar type things anywhere. Simply ask each one of your guests to roll the dice. Depending on what number it's going to land on, they can then purchase a nightlight of their choice for that amount. Now, you can vary this up any which way. You could say a counter cleaner for whatever amount that it priced on. I use my perpetual booking rewards and or my host rewards, because I constantly have customers who just call me and I collectively put in party orders. So I always have perpetuals and host rewards that I can use to have stuff like this to give away. So yes, I am spending some of my money per se, but it's costing me very little to get additional bookings, and I don't give them those items until they actually hold their booking, okay? So that's just that. And then booking bags. Booking bags is one of the first things that I ever did. And booking bags, basically, just go to the dollar store or wherever, get you some cute little bags with some tissue paper. Inside, I basically put the host packet, and then I will put a little coupon. And the coupons are going to vary. I bring anywhere from 3 to 5 bags, depending on the number of people they tell me are going to be attending the party. And on the coupons, it might say free room spray with purchase. It might say no sales tax. It could say buy a 6-pack, get an extra bar free. You can make up whatever you want your little coupons to say. And if they choose to grab one of the booking bags during the course of the party, they get the item that's inside, and then of course you've already got their host packet in there as well. So those have always gone over really well for me. But I think the number one most 100% way to get bookings is truly through conversations. And this is going to take practice. It's no different than giving your presentation at a home party. It's no different than sharing the business opportunity. It's no different than when someone asks you, what is Scentsy? This is just conversations that really, through role playing and through practicing, is how you're going to get more comfortable. For everyone, it's not natural for most people to just know this stuff or just be great at this or say everything perfect. That's not typical, and if you're expecting perfection, I can promise you it's never going to happen. And that's okay. If you're too perfect, no one will ever think they can be a Scentsy lady or Scentsy man for that matter. So it's okay, but practicing will help you be more comfortable. So some of the things that I kind of want to talk about is what are some of the objections that we hear commonly when we ask someone, hey, would you be willing to host a party for Susie? What do you guys think? Can you guys just yell out some? I'm going to jot some down as you guys yell them out. At this point, I'm sure we're going to hear they don't have time. I'm sure we're going to hear they live in a small place. They don't have any friends. They just moved. You know, who you and I both know they're going to give us all kinds of excuses. And so then I'm going to just basically break them down. When someone tells me that they don't have enough time, whenever I'm taking their order from them, so the party's over, they're bringing the party over, I'm collecting their payment, I'm like, okay, great, you're going to love this room spray. Oh my goodness, you got one of my favorite warmers. This is great. Would you be interested in having a party for Susie? Now, this person is obviously not taking a booking bag. They may or may not have played the dice game. And they probably didn't take one of the scent circles, or I wouldn't be asking this question off of the booking necklace. However, I'm still going to say to them, face to face, when it's just me and them, I'm going to say, would you be willing to host a party for Susie? And when she says to me something like, I don't have enough time, I'm going to say, because remember, I was engaging my hosts and their guests. I was paying attention to conversations. I was included and involved in some of the conversations. So at this point, I'm going to say things like, well, you know, I know you mentioned that you work at a hospital. And so maybe having a home party is not going to fit into your world. However, I would be more than happy to loan you a pouch party, which will have your catalogs, your order forms, and you can still earn all the same free and half price items. Would you be willing for me to loan you a pouch party to take for 5 to 7 days and see if you can collect some orders for some free Scentsy? And I will tell you that by me helping her see how she could do it and it not take any more of her time, because she's already going to work and she's already leaving work, she's more likely to say, you know what, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. Another thing might be, you know, I don't really know anybody or I'm too busy. So again, another conversation I could say back, well, I know you mentioned you had some kids that were in dancing. Would you think that they might be interested in doing a fundraiser? Because I'd be more than happy to do a fundraiser either for your children to help pay for their tuition or for their dance recital fees, or if the dance studio could use some scholarship funds, I would love to do a fundraiser for them. Do you think that is something that you'd be willing to do on behalf of Susie? Because she would still get an extra item, half price item off of her wish list, and we certainly would love to give back. So what my point of this whole thing is, I am going to be helping these individuals at her party see how they can successfully have some kind of a Scentsy party, whether it's online, maybe it's through fundraising, maybe it's through a home party, which is my best hope, but it's not going to be for everyone. So I'm going to keep working through the list of objections that have been given to us by the audience. Now, depending on time, which I always set the time on my phone, depending on the timing, will determine how many of these things I go through. But that's basically how I plan to have it. And if you need help or you have some more objections you can think of that you're not sure how you would answer, Shannon, if you'll just message me those, I'd be more than happy to, you know, give you kind of like a commercial on that. Which does remind me, I forgot on that first screen to talk about the definition of host coaching, but I will do that. So I'll send you that in writing. That way you'll have that. Okay, so from here at this point, I never ask, like she said, don't ask if you have any questions. I personally prefer not to have questions. So typically what I will do in the very beginning, and I need to make sure and tell Lonnie this as well, is I will tell Lonnie and I will just say, you know what, guys, I really want to get through this content. We have a lot of information that we want to share. So if you do have questions that come up along the way, if you want to write them down, and then after this session is over, if I have not covered them, you're welcome to contact me, contact Shannon, or, you know, throughout the course of the convention, the reunion, be sure that you've gotten those questions addressed maybe by your upline director or some others here, because there's a lot of knowledge in this place. So I personally am very anti-question. Instead, the way I try to engage is kind of like I said, I ask them, okay, who has their calendar full, those type of things, and just get them so they still have to, you know, not fall asleep on me. So that's kind of that little piece, if that hopefully helps you. So I am going to stop this recording. I hope this was helpful. It's very rough. I'll be a lot more polished between now and Thursday, because I will actually review it, and we're going to get the formal stuff from Sarah. So we'll make sure it looks the same way. And I'm more than happy to visit with you as much or as little as you need me to, Shannon. I know you're amazing and you're wonderful and you know all this stuff. So you're going to be great. And okay, I think that's it.